For the weird, novel, grotesque. Just how did he corner the market with his big top, big time dreams? The Extraordinary Life of P.T. Barnum, beginning now on A&E's Biography.
Hello, I'm Jack Perkins. Welcome to Biography. Think of P.T. Barnum and you think of the circus. But he didn't invent the circus. He reinvented it, and he turned it into the greatest show on earth. What most people may not know is that Barnum had many other careers before the circus: banker, publisher, politician. He even considered running for president. Whatever Barnum did, he did big. Most of all, he was the ultimate American salesman. At a time when the railroads and the Industrial Revolution were sweeping America into the 20th century, Barnum sold dreams. And what grander dreams are there than those to be found under the circus big top?
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, the greatest show on earth.
More than 50 different circuses tour the United States each year. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry which entertains millions of people. And we owe it all, or at least a lot of it, to that remarkable showman, P.T. Barnum.
Show on earth.
The circus seemed to be Barnum's destiny. Everything he did from childhood on led him to this, the greatest show on earth. Phineas Taylor Barnum was born in Bethel, Connecticut, on the 5th of July, 1810. He'd later call himself a Yankee Doodle Dandy +1. He was the eldest of 5, all born and raised in this typical Connecticut salt box house, which still stands on the same spot today. His father dabbled in several trades. The family was moderately well off. Influenced by a strict Protestant work ethic, a young man of average means would attend school just long enough to master basic reading, writing, and arithmetic skills. After that, it was off to the workplace. Young P.T. Barnum became an apprentice in his father's dry goods store when he was only 8. Their religion, Congregationalism, preached fire, brimstone, suffering, and hard work. Fun was a scarce commodity. Ironically, this repressive religion might be what sparked Barnum's flair for showmanship. Just about the only fun the church did allow was running lotteries and playing practical jokes. The townspeople delighted in one-upping each other with outrageous pranks. And one of Bethel's consummate practical jokers was Barnum's grandfather, Phineas Taylor, for whom he was named. The grandfather was among the town's wealthiest citizens. He used this fact to make Barnum the victim of his longest-running gag. At the boy's christening, he deeded him a piece of land called Ivy Island. For years, Barnum heard stories about what a rich, lucky young man he was. Finally, at the age of 10, he set out to see Ivy Island for himself.
Ivy Island kind of makes people think of some beautifully manicured estate or something, when in reality, Ivy Island was named for poison ivy. It was an island in the middle of a swamp, just east of the village of Bethel, right on this approximate site where we are today. He basically learned that for a good 10 years or so, he had been the unknowing butt of jokes for the entire town.
Little did Barnum know that years later this swampy piece of land would lead him on the road to riches. Ivy Island taught him a valuable lesson, that people loved to be humbugged. He recorded these life lessons and wrote about them in many books throughout his lifetime.
The cry of humbug can never harm me. I am in the position of the actor who would much rather be abused than not be noticed at all.
Life was a lot different then, and these kinds of humbugs, these kinds of innocent practical jokes were much more accepted.
Barnum's father died in 1826, and the 15-year-old became the family's sole source of support. His father's store changed hands, and he went to work for the new owner. One day, while the owner was out, a high-pressure salesman talked Barnum into buying 500 utterly useless glass bottles. When the owner returned, he threatened to fire him for the mistake. But Barnum came up with a plan. He would hold a lottery, in which the first prize would be something of legitimate value. However, the second, third, fourth prizes, and so on would be the glass bottles. The lottery not only recouped his bad investment, it turned a tidy profit for the store. Barnum had learned another important lesson.
When people expect to get something for nothing, they are sure to be cheated, and generally deserve to be.
Around this time, Barnum met Charity Hallett, a devout Congregationalist whom he would marry in 1829 at the age of 19. With his new bride beside him, Barnum set out to forge a name for himself in business. And like his father, he juggled several jobs. He bought his own store in Bethel. He ran a lottery. He started a newspaper. And, much to Charity's dismay, he adopted a new religion, Universalism, which offered what he called a more cheerful Christianity. Barnum was strongly opposed to the involvement of the Congregationalist Church in local politics, which was common at the time. In 1831, he used his newspaper to attack a minister in nearby Danbury, Connecticut. The minister's response was neither very cheerful nor very Christian.
He probably didn't expect that if he spoke out against the preacher, he'd end up in 60 days in the Danbury jail.
Reports had it that it was wallpapered and not that uncomfortable, and he could continue to publish his paper right from the cell.
Which Barnum did, painting himself as a little guy persecuted by a corrupt religious elite. This won him public support, got him out of jail, and made him a political force to be reckoned with. It also taught him yet another valuable lesson. There's no such thing as bad publicity, although Charity didn't share his enthusiasm.
She became more conservative all the time, and he became more audacious in the sorts of things he was doing. She was always pleading with him, please don't get involved with this. Just get yourself a normal business life and be a normal Bethel husband.
For the next few years, Barnum tried to be a normal Bethel husband. He tended to his store, his lottery, his newspaper, and his wife. In 1833, Charity gave birth to the first of 4 daughters. But the roller coaster, which was P.T. Barnum's life, took another sudden turn. The next year, Connecticut outlawed lotteries. A few weeks later, his store went bust. Then came the final blow. His newspaper couldn't compete with the well-established Danbury Recorder and folded. Within a few short months, he was wiped out. And so in 1834, with nothing left to lose, Barnum moved his family to New York City to seek fame and fortune. Without knowing it, he had started down the road which would eventually lead him to the greatest show on earth.
Biography's look at the life of P.T. Barnum will continue.